I'm going back to Georgie to find my Uncle Joe. You may talk about your Beauregard and sang of Bobby Lee, but the gallant hood of Texas, he played hell in Tennessee. She's the sweetest rose of color this soldier ever knew. Her eyes are bright as diamonds, they sparkle like the dew. You may talk about your dearest May.
Hello everyone, and thank you for checking out Part 7 in the American Civil War Gaming Club's tutorial series. In these videos, we take a look at the John Taylor Campaign Civil War games and cover some of the basic concepts you should know about before taking the field of battle against another human opponent. In this part, we will take a look at melee combat and how it is conducted. We will also go over how the outcomes of a melee are influenced by numerous factors such as hex side modifiers, commanders, and unit rating. If you enjoy this video, be sure to check out our club's website at acwgc.net, where you will find more information about our club and how to join. For now, though, let's head over to my old hometown of Franklin, Tennessee, where we will discuss melee combat and the basics of how it works. We previously discussed fire combat in another video, which is the act of engaging an enemy from a distance with small arms fire. A melee is a hand-to-hand encounter in which one side is seeking to drive the other out of a hex. To launch a melee, you first need to occupy a hex adjacent to the enemy hex that you wish to engage. Then, using only units which are in good order, not disrupted units, you highlight the units that you wish to attack the enemy, and then click and drag them into the targeted hex. You will usually see this box saying Unknown Melee Odds because the fog of war is turned on when you play another human opponent. But because this is just a demonstration, I'm going to turn off the fog of war so we can get an idea of how modifiers affect odds. Once you have selected your units to attack and have dragged them into the enemy hex, you come up here and click on Resolve Melee to launch the attack. The result is shown here. It is safe to say that knowing when to launch melee is probably the number one thing players struggle with in these games. Often people will charge ahead against heavy odds because they feel they need to break an enemy line quickly or because it was just what historically a commander did in battle. They will also attack without fully realizing just how great the odds are against success because they are just unaware of how modifiers work. Without understanding the basics of melee combat, you lose these assaults much more often than you win them. So let's cover just a few of the concepts of a melee attack. Remember, there is a link in the description below to our training academy where you can find much more information on this topic than what is just covered here. To begin with, you must have at least a 2-to-1 ratio of attackers to defenders to even hope to succeed in a melee. Let's run a quick example here. We have 800 men attacking 400 men in an open field with no variables in play. Here we have one stack and the other. You will see that there are no modifiers in place, as when we drag the units to melee, it shows 0 modifiers. In this instance, you will have a 60% chance of success against the defender. How do I know that there is a 60% chance of success? Math. A lot of math. The game's user's guide gives you the mathematical equation of how a melee result is determined. It is really too complicated to go into here, but as I said before, it is covered in depth within our training academy should you like to know more. So with needing a 2-to-1 superiority in numbers just to get a 60% chance of victory, it seems like it's impossible to attack, right? But successful attacks are still possible, and here are a few tips to help you out. Know your modifiers. Modifiers can help or hurt you based on how they are used. Hex side modifiers can include stone walls, breastworks, fences, and numerous other obstacles which are listed in the parameter data under the Help drop-down menu above. Don't attack an enemy who is utilizing strong modifiers, or you will almost always lose. Each modifier has a percentage bonus attached to it. For example, an embankment gives the defenders a 40% modifier during a melee. That means that the effective strength of the defenders is increased by 40%. In our example before, we had 800 men charge against 400 men. Now those 400 men are behind an embankment and not in an open field. And effectively now they fight with the strength of 560 men because of their 40% modifier gained from the embankments. While you are still attacking with 800 men, you are now mathematically up against 560, not 400. Your probability of success then goes from 60% to 38% because of these modifiers. You might look at it and just think to yourself, but I still outnumber them 2-1. You just have to remember that the modifier creates a situation where that is just no longer true. While you still may succeed in the attack, you should take into account the decreased probability of success when making your decision whether or not to attack. Another tip is that it is all math. Don't think of the little pixelated units on the screen as anything other than numbers. In a melee combat, it is all about probabilities and how the numbers stack up. On an actual Civil War battlefield, momentum and fear might drive an enemy to abandon a strong position in the face of a large assault, but that is not the case in a computer game. The computer units are fearless and can only be defeated when they lose with a roll of the dice based on an equation. Momentum and fear mean nothing here. You need to maximize your own modifiers when attacking to increase your chances of success. These modifiers can include such things as having a commander accompany your attacking force, using higher rated troops only, or even charging into the melee with loaded rifles as opposed to empty ones. All of these modifiers will give the attackers an added bonus when attacking. Use good judgment. You can sit down and write out the odds and modifiers of any melee beforehand to arrive at a probability of success based on the mathematical equation the game gives you. But really, who has time for all that? Math? We're here to have fun and play games, right? Bring at least a 2-to-1 ratio of men into any assault that you launch when the enemy is in an open field. If they are behind hex side modifiers or on higher ground, do not attack them and expect success unless you have about a 3-to-1 superiority in numbers. Lastly, know when not to attack. It can be frustrating to see an enemy line standing in your way, blocking a critical road. But there are simply times when you have to accept that a head-on attack is going to be too costly and you have to find a way around the enemy. The consequences in terms of the manpower lost and the fatigue gained by unsuccessfully attacking an enemy line are heavy. Simply understanding and knowing when your opponent has chosen a perfect position and then having the courage to tip your cap and find another route is sometimes the difference between victory and defeat in the long run. Alright, I could go on for a whole hour about the intricacies of melee combat, and someday, maybe I will. But for now, that concludes this quick introduction to melee combat basics. Remember to visit acwgc.net for more information about our gaming club, and also be sure to check out the links in the description below to view the John Tiller Software Store or our club's training academy. In our next video, we will head up to Chancellorsville, where we will discuss the importance of flank maneuvers and how terrain and visible hexes can help you launch your own successful surprise attack on an enemy position. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a like on here if you have, and also join us next time for our ongoing tutorial series on John Tiller Software's Civil War games. Thank you.